1, 2, 3, 4. Drugs, alcohol, nicotine, drinking too much coffee, Hollywood, punk rock, band for life, acting, writing, blogging, subversive. Words are all we've got. Killer. So articulate how I became human. I got into film, I wanted to get into acting. I mean, I was really enamored of that sort of actor studio style of acting. You know, I was a really emotional kid, and I hadn't discovered punk rock, and the only people that I was aware, that I knew of that expressed themselves the way that I did or I wanted to were, you know, these guys in movies. You know, they were like explosive, you know, type people, like Jack Nicholson and Al Pacino and Marlon Brando, and that's what I wanted to do. That's the reason I wanted to get into acting, is I wanted to be able to give voice to these raw emotions that I had. No. We got to get this straight.
Let's get it straight.
All right, let me tell you how this goes. I was an actor in New York. I got a call from a guy who's going to make a movie for Roger Corman. I flew to LA, met Roger. We went out to discuss, the director and I and another writer, the screenplay. And I wanted to have a lot of input in the screenplay as an actor. And I basically ended up getting the writer fired because I didn't think he was coming up with ideas fast enough. And I ended up collaborating on the screenplay with the director. I didn't even want to take a credit on the screenplay because I knew people would say, oh, now you're a writer, you're not an actor anymore. And I didn't really want to be a writer. I wanted to be an actor, but people sort of talked me into putting my name on the script. So anyway, I suddenly had this new career as a screenwriter. I have said that if I could bomb the IMDb, I would, and if I could get away with it. I fucking hate those people. And they have a message board at the bottom to, like, you know, influence people. I mean, people who are in a position to give you a job go and use that thing. That's like a way of, like, you know, what has he done? They go on there, they study these little things about, you know, interest in such and such is up 7%, or some stupid shit like that. And then at the bottom, it's like people speculating about all sorts of shit about you. They're like saying, they're old, they're ugly, they're gay, you know, they're no good, they're crap. So you have all these people at the bottom who are, like, you know, influencing. I think everyone in America, I think people who like work at like McDonald's, there should be like a site called McDonald's, you know, like there is one, but I mean like every employee at McDonald's, and they should have their own little page so that everyone can go on, like, comment about them. They're really ugly, they're stupid, they don't do their job well. I was making a movie in Belgrade, in Serbia, and I'd gone over to do a movie about the American bombing of former Yugoslavia in 1999. I was the only American in the cast, stuck in the hotel room, reading Henry Rollins's Get in the Van, wondering about the band and about what had become of people in the band. Chuck Dukowski was, I think, the original bass player in Black Flag. I had no idea what had become of him, and I was just thinking, you know, whatever became of that guy. So I had this idea, and it very quickly flowered. I saw the book in its entirety like that. And it all began with the fuck. What doesn't? I fucked the wrong person, I fucked up the right one, somebody played me a song. It changed my whole life, that song. That's why I later went to so much trouble to find the guy who wrote and sang it. His name was Jim Cassidy, or at least that's what he called himself. His real name was Eddie Brown, but he changed it in tribute to Jim Morrison and Neal Cassidy. I'd never heard of either one before I discovered punk rock. I grew up in a small city in North Carolina where I'd never known a soul who listened to The Doors or read Jack Kerouac. I was a jock a varsity pitcher and all-district linebacker who dressed like a preppy and hung out at frat parties. Even in high school, I was hanging out at frat parties. My girlfriend was a cheerleader. My parents were diehard Republicans. Life was good. I hated my life. Nothing ever happened in North Carolina in those days, the early 80s. I used to pray for something to happen, and I'd stop believing in God at 14. Then one night I heard a song by Jim's band, Rule of Thumb, and thought, my God, somebody out there gets it. Somebody out there feels just like I do. I started listening to other songs by Rule of Thumb, as well as songs by other punk bands, and shaved off my hair and dyed the stubble blue. I slashed up my clothes and put them back together with safety pins. I bought a used Fender Mustang and taught myself to play it. I was the second punk rocker that town had ever seen, so it goes without saying I got a lot of shit, but I used to fantasize that Jim Cassidy could somehow see me and was looking on with approval. I met Brad in 2004 or 5. I was aware of who he was because like everybody else, I was on MySpace at the time, and I was aware of Brad getting 500 comments on every piece he put up, and I was amazed by it. I was amazed by that phenomenon. But I never saw myself as a blogger. I never saw myself as a person who could do that. I didn't think I had anything to say. And of course, The Nervous Breakdown is not really a blog anyway. I mean, it's a literary website. And then when I was about to publish Band for Life, I talked to Jonathan Evison, whom I also knew from MySpace. And he had published All About Lulu and had done really, really well with it. And I turned to him for advice, and he said, well, you've got to get out there, you've got to do all this stuff online, and you've got to blog. And I said, well, I don't have anything to blog about. And he didn't care. And I went back to him and I said, I think I will try blogging, but I don't really know how to get started. And he said, write to Brad at The Nervous Breakdown. I hadn't even heard of The Nervous Breakdown, so write to him. So I wrote to him and I said, hello, Brad, you probably don't remember me. And he wrote back, he said, oh, yes, I do remember you. And he signed me up right away. I really think of writing as a kind of seance in a strange way. Or as a kind of, I feel like I'm communing with the piece of writing. I feel like the writing is dictating to me what it wants to be as much as I'm trying to make something of it. And I read a piece, alcohol comes in handy at this point, but I kind of just read it, and I feel like it's saying things to me. This word, I don't want this word in here. I don't want, this paragraph doesn't need to be here. And I just study it and I listen to it again and again, and I think about it, and slowly I make cuts based on those things. And so I sort of feel in many ways that the writing I do I don't know how to put it in words.